Hi, good morning everyone. It's Erkan here. It's Wednesday morning and I think it's May the 24th, if I'm right. Is it? Well, it sounds stupid if it isn't. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. So I've woken up in a very interesting space this morning. I've just, as some of you have probably seen the updates from AV Alternative View Conference number 8, which I attended with Jill this weekend, Jill Tiny, and I kind of had a very profound experience by attending the event. Quite often we post stuff. We want to post stuff. Hey, everything's great, wonderful, and quite most of the time, I'm blessed. My life is great, and right now there's nothing wrong. I'm not down. I'm not miserable. I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I feel really peaceful. I feel very peaceful and very grounded. There's a book written by a guy called Sam Keen, and he talks about fire in the belly. I read it many years ago, and it was a real influential book on my life. So if you're a man or a woman who wants to understand men, it's a fantastic book because it kind of really it kind of articulates the stages that a man and a man going through, from boyhood all the way through to maybe an old man, and different stages that you go through. And it kind of likens a man's being to a fire. The idea is you start a fire at the beginning, it's very low and it gets bigger and bigger, and there's this point where it's like raging and it's like burning up all the fuel, and it's really, going out there guns blazing. And anyone who knows me probably thinks of me like that a lot, because I think I've been there a long time. Over the last few years, I said probably 10 years, maybe 9 years, 5, 6, 4, 3 years, I think I've been mellowing. And the idea of the metaphor with the fire is actually what happens to a man. They reach a stage in their life where those fires start to calm down. And like any barbecue, if you watch the coals, they get to this stage where they're just glowing embers. And the glowing embers are a really powerful stage in a man's life. It's like the rage and the anger and the immaturity and the impatience and the frustration and the annoyances and the drive, I know there's a lot of my friends out there, you have that drive, you have to get somewhere. So I guess it's part of being a sperm. You've got to keep going till you get there. And I'm just thinking of lots of different people I've met over the years. I'm blessed, I've met amazing people. And, for the most part, most people are amazing. If you take the time to look and the patience, you kind of find the genius and the wisdom and the beauty in people. Men, women, children especially. I mean, I'm really getting a massive appreciation for children recently. Like that innate state, that innate wisdom, that pure flow of love and, being in the moment. One minute they're happy, next minute they're sad, one minute they're arguing, then they're getting on. And kind of as grown-ups, we kind of hold on to things and then subdue those feelings. So going back to the metaphor, this sense of glowing embers and this kind of grounded strength and knowing who you are, what your values are, what you stand for, and still willing to explore. I think that's really key. Still willing to explore and still willing to find something new that will impact you, all to your view. Are you actively taking on information that alters your view? If we keep looking at things the same way, the opportunities and the challenges and what's possible will be kind of snapshot in a frame. If we take on some new information, a new insight, a new approach or a new way of framing something that we've had a certain way for a long time, well, all manner of magical things happen. You start to, I don't know, it's like the neurons start this kind of cascade effect, where if that happens and that happens and that can happen and that can, and it kind of goes off, like it starts off like that, and I think that's what I'm experiencing at the moment. And I've experienced it many times. I've been around some very cutting edge work. I've explored. And anyone who knows me knows I listen to a lot of information. I watch a lot of stuff. I go to seminars. I go to, I get out and about. Whatever it is. And I have a kind of an OCD obsession with information and understandings. And I kind of like, we were driving back yesterday with Jill from B Collaboration in London, back to Hertford. And I said to her, I feel like there's no real more information I need. I mean, it's not like I don't want to learn new things or look for new things, but in a world that looks insane to me, you just have to be sane. You just have to be sane. You just have to look at it and go, right, what's the outcome or the impact I want to have right now where I am? And quite often with the global information highways, we're exposed to things that are way out of our influence. I mean, I'm talking about immediate right now influence. I'm not talking about ripple influence, and I'm not talking about kind of long-term energy impact, that. I'm talking about things that you can actually apply yourself to right now. There was a guy called Thomas Sheridan at the weekend, and he showed this image of Britannia looking at the problems far away through this telescope, over a wall, across the sea, kind of looked like an African depiction, like, there's this poverty or something going on over there. We should really worry about people all over the world, and we probably should worry about them. But if you pan back from the picture, behind the wall there was poverty and children and homelessness. And to me, I think if you really want to make a difference, make it in your backyard, where you can affect a change or an impact or a transformation. Whatever language fits, use that. What could you do today? And being around the AV conference this weekend, I got to speak to a lot of people. And quite often people say, I love coming to this conference because I can actually get to speak freely without concern. In fact, I saw one of our collaborators posted something in our private group. He said, I wouldn't normally share this stuff elsewhere, but here I feel it's the right place. I can share something that is important to me, but may go against or challenge, if you like, mainstream thinking or public thinking. And I think we've got to develop the courage to say the things that we may think or say in private in very small numbers. We need to start saying those things louder and to more people. Because I think if we trust our innate wisdom and we just look at what's going on with terror attacks, wars everywhere, humanity indebted. I mean, like, who do we owe all this money to? And I think just start asking simple questions and start, really look at things. You will find your answers. Definitely. And I think engage heart. So we've been very much conditioned into the left brain. Tony Wright, the author of Brain of Eden, I think formerly called Left in the Dark, he did a talk at the weekend. Started reading his books a while back, and we've been talking about this at Big Collaboration, how we're conditioned into the left brain, and the left brain it leaves us delusional, it leaves us separated. I think it kills empathy to an extent. It gets very factual. Sometimes you're talking to someone and just say, I just want to know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it by and what's going to happen. That kind of methodical approach to something. Like, I don't care what's going on for you, I want results. Like, you don't exist as a human being. I just want to know what the outcome is. And I think empathy is probably more important now to the survival of the species. I said it. Survival of the species. Because right now we are heading towards that cliff. And if this doesn't get more apocalyptical than this for me, if you just look and step back and look at the kind of people that are supposedly running our countries, our governments, our policing. I mean, just the militarisation of our police has got to put the heebie-jeebies up people. The change of language, from parking warden to traffic enforcement officer. Language is changing and you've got to pay attention. I think it used to be called the police service. A friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, was in the police service years ago. He said, I knew it was time to get out when they changed it to police force. Why do we need all this force? And if you look at your life, day to day, 99.9% of the time, aren't people great? Aren't people great? Really? Most of the time? Most of the time, our experiences with humanity is fantastic. People will open a door for you, buy you a pint, say nice things. At least my experience is most of the time. But if you put on the telly, and you start looking at mainstream media and news, it's all fear, fear, fear. And you got to understand yourself. You got to ask yourself, understand yourself. You got to ask yourself, what is the gain of propagating so much fear? I had a collaborator yesterday. I was doing an orientation yesterday with collaborators, new collaborators. And he said he made the decision to drive into London because he just thought he'd feel more comfortable because of the bomb in Manchester and, you know. And I said, well, look, I want you to consider that the reason you made that decision is probably not in your view. And we talk a lot about context in big collaboration. And I said to him, consider that it was fear that changed your behaviour, changed your action, made that decision. If the intention of terrorism or terrorism hype or false flag or, you know, the prediction of violence and personal injury or death is constantly being presented, that will affect the way you see the world and then impact your actions. And I think in that moment there was an awakening, like, hold on, have I just been played? Yeah, you have. You've been played and you've been manipulated, you've been controlled. Now, I'm going to get a tinfoil hat in a minute for the hell of it, but if anything you see on the news or what you read or people saying doesn't depict love, connection and abundance, consider it's a play for fear, scarcity and competition. A battle between insanity and humanity, as Ian R. Crane would say. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's the organiser of Alternative View Conference. And I've got to tell you, I was really blown away by Ian. Ian, former gas and oil man, woke up around the age of 40, 42 as he says. And now he's one of the leading activists in the fracking movement. And if you don't know what fracking is, it is really the destruction of our environment. We are living in a world where our government, look up the word, mind controllers, mental men, are wanting to give a green light to give corporations opportunity to go in underground, under the earth we live on, and fracture the ground underneath to release gas for profit. And in the process, polluting our waters, destroying farmland. You know, just look at what's happened in Flint. And this guy, Ian Crane, is putting his life to work to make that difference, to safeguard our environment for future generations. That's how, at least how I see it. And I see lots of people putting podcasts up and videos about success, the 7 ways to success, and you know, how to achieve this and blah, blah, blah. And you know, look, I get it. Within that paradigm, it's the kind of obvious thing to do. I think today, stop and ask yourself this question. What am I doing and who am I being to safeguard the future of the human species? Because there are people being killed en masse, an industrial process on this planet. And we get a bomb in Manchester and we all lose our freaking minds. And, you know, if you're in Manchester or you're close to it, absolutely get it. And my heart goes out to everybody that's been affected. All the way down to London, where someone would drive from Hertford into London because of that event. Yet those kind of things are happening at enormous levels, on a mass industrialised technological level, where hundreds of thousands and millions of people's lives are being either destroyed or snuffed out. or impacted through injury, psychological injury. If we look at Palestine, it will take probably generations before people that have been inflicted to that level of violence will probably ever recover. So I'm just asking you, take a breath today, have a look around you, and ask yourself, who am I being in the world right now? How is my life force contributing to the human experience? And what am I really out to achieve? Am I trying to survive and make some money and pay my mortgage off? How much are you being controlled by money? And I mean really controlled. Like, it is on your mind a lot. Getting it, finding it, surviving, paying bills. Or maybe you're one of those people that are really driven. You've made your first million, you want to make the second million. In the Be Inspired program 3 years ago, I showed a slide and it had a bus and 82 on it. And the point was, it was an Oxfam slide. And it said 82 people owned half the planet's wealth. And I remember I showed that to people and they gasped. I did a Be Inspired in September, last one I did. And the number's 62. And I've heard recently it's going to be around 40. So we live in a world where our monetary system, our banking cartels, our corporations, our government, our media is highly complicit in creating a paradigm where 30, 40, 50, 60 people can own half the planet's wealth. And then we have rich entrepreneurs who want to go and put nuclear bombs on Mars, Elon Musk, Ray Kurzweil involved in transhumanization and downloading humanity. Look up a guy called David Hull, if you don't know who David Hull is. He's talking about the coming context. One of them is the integration of biology and technology. You couldn't make this shit up. It's a kind of cross between a science fiction horror movie, dystopia, and just out and out horror. We stand by, watch X Factor, go and play golf, go on a track day. You know, I'm in there. I kind of really woke up in a different way today. I don't know what it means, and I appreciate whoever's listening. I really do. Beiju, I've got to put my glasses on. Who else is out there? Look at the camera, not yourself. I love looking at me. There you go, look at the camera. Look at what's distracting you. Look at what you're getting obsessed with that doesn't make a difference to the planet. You know, I don't like using the word believe. I think believe can pin your foot down to the ground. But right now, I think we are asleep at the controls as a species. And there's an old saying, if you good people don't act, it's the only thing that ever changes the world anyway. Margaret Mead saying. So I invite you to find out something new today that will shock you. Shock yourself. Shock yourself into what it means to be a human being. Wake yourself up. Imagine that they're called defibrillators. Consider you're walking dead. Consider it. Consider that there is things going on that you're not aware of. You're asking the questions, how could it be like this? Why is it like this? I get that. Ask those questions, but find out something today that maybe disturbs you. You know? And on that note, I wanted to share something. A book. I've not read a manual book for quite a while. Anyone knows me, I kind of generally prefer audios, videos, speakers. That's the medium that but I saw a guy called Mark Devlin, and he was in I think he was a DJ. He was very much in the music industry for some time, and the title of the book is Musical Truth, and it says exposing the mind control manipulations of the corporate music industry and how to take back our power. And the sentiment of it really is, if we look at all the symbolisation and the control behind the entertainment industries, and if we've got children and they're watching TV, they're listening to pop music, the lyrics, the symbols, I would say that might be a good place to start looking. Maybe YouTube, Mark Devlin. And there's a lot of people out there sharing great information. I also shared today on YouTube a video with Ken O'Keefe. Now Ken's had some massive controversy, I'm not going to go into that, but talking about meat eating. Why are we eating meat? I've been eating meat my whole life, and he said something about, he used to be like, if there wasn't meat in the food, if there wasn't meat, it wasn't food. Where's the food? There's no meat. And I remember Mum and Dad saying stuff like that growing up, but they eat more vegetarian food than they've ever done. Think about that karmic energy that we're putting out. Think about the impact you have. Think about the narratives you're being fed. Climate change. Human caused climate change. We had Piers Corbyn share about how it's a big hoax. This is a scientist and weather specialist. That really carbon levels are no higher than they've ever been. The planet warms up and cools down in cycles of 60 years, has done for centuries. But if you're delivering a fear agenda, and I'm not out here to cause fear, I'm out here to really get people to wake up to how amazing the human spirit is and what opportunities we've got, and our duty and responsibility to each other and the future planet that our children will live in. I know if you haven't got children, you may still have a concern for the future, but as a father, for me, it really changed my view of how I leave this planet, how I leave them, how do I leave them empowered or inspired? What difference is my breathing on this planet for a brief period of time going to make? What impact? As a man, as a human being, a big collaboration, one of our values is human being first. When was the last time you thought of yourself as a human being first, considering all the roles we play? Maybe you're a boss, maybe you're an employee, maybe you're a husband or wife, child, you're someone's child, sister, brother. How often do we operate from our humanity and our empathy? How often do we actually not even see people? Like, we don't see them. How often do you get served in a restaurant and you don't even acknowledge the person that's bringing you your food or your coffee or your sandwich or whatever it is you're having? So I implore you today, just have a look. If you're stuck in traffic, look around. How does the rest of the people around you look? If you're on the tube, Scott Campbell said yesterday, just random acts of kindness. That's how he measures his day. How inspiring. To sit back at the end of your day and say, how many random acts of kindness did I generously contribute to humanity, to people, maybe animals? So that's what I ask you to look at today. Waking up, questioning, having that compassion and courage to make a difference to others, like as an active way of being. I make a difference. And to be humble and compassionate enough with yourself when you don't, when you don't let someone out of traffic, when you do get grumpy because your latte came late or your sandwich was cold, or cold sandwich, well, you know what I mean. And find the joy. Find the joy in every day. Find the joy in every day. And the name of this Facebook page is Journey of Possibility. Just keep on that journey. Look at what keeps you on. Look at probably more interesting what takes you off that journey of possibility. So, what does this all mean? I don't know. Probably nothing. In a world of meaning, there's whatever meaning you want to add. Inherently, there is no meaning. But there is your stand, and there is your commitment, and there is your life force. So I implore you, I encourage you, I was going to say beg, but I'm not begging. I invite you to consider your life force today and consider the impact it's making on others, the impact you want to make on others, and just be present, humbled, and in the moment with people. And I'd love to hear from you, what your day, how it went. Don't make it the new thing you have to go and do. Just be that. And I bid you all a good day. With love from Hartford. Erkan, checking out. Bye.